Hello and welcome. Now, after facing flack over his refusal to hold Russia accountable in public for meddling with the 2016 U.S. elections, U.S. President Donald Trump claims that he, in fact, misspoke during the joint news conference in Helsinki.
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be, but I really do want to see the server. In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So, just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't.
Now, Trump had invited worldwide criticism when he contradicted his own intelligence agencies concerning the issue of Russian meddling in the 2016 U.S. election. President Trump had said that he saw no reason why it would be Russia. But Trump can't seem to make up his mind on Russia. Despite criticism, Donald Trump took to Twitter and said, "So many people as the higher ends of intelligence loved my press conference performance in Helsinki. Putin and I discussed many important subjects at our earlier meeting. We got along well, which truly bothered many haters who wanted to see a boxing match. Big results will come." He went on to say, and again I quote, "While the NATO meeting in Brussels was an acknowledged triumph, with billions of dollars more being put up by member countries at a faster pace, the meeting with Russia may prove to be in the long run an even greater success. Many positive things will come out of that meeting." Now, Trump did not stop at that, slamming his political rivals. Trump tweeted, and again I quote, "Some people hate the fact that I got along well with President Putin of Russia. They would rather go to war than see this. It's called Trump derangement syndrome." Meanwhile, Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the lower house of U.S. legislature, said that he is willing to consider additional sanctions on Russia. Ryan reiterated support for the U.S. intelligence community's findings that Russia interfered in the 2016 elections. Calling it a menacing government, Ryan said that Russia does not share either the interests or values of the United States. All right, Jessica King joins me live from Moscow. Good evening, Jessica. How is the Russian media reacting to all of this? Are they at all secretly chuckling at the fact that this was a media coup of sorts for the Russian government and the media alike?
Well, it really is quite an extraordinary turn of events. I mean, just over 24 hours ago, the Russian government and Russian people were feeling quite confident that President Trump was on their side, or at least understood and was sympathetic to the Russian position. They have always denied meddling in the U.S. elections. Then, of course, we have the backtrack from Trump saying that he misspoke, and now saying that, he expects great things to come from this meeting. So all very confusing. Of course, there have been a lot of memes going around on social media, sort of slightly mocking the U.S. president and whether or not he said this or he said that. And the Russian ambassador to the U.S., Anatoly Antonov, in Moscow, has said today that they want some evidence. If they keep going back and forth on deciding whether or not they believe that Russia did, in fact, meddle in their elections in 2016, they want evidence. And they have described the allegations again as total nonsense today. So he said that it's his impression that some U.S. journalists just don't want to listen to their president, and he believes that the president is trying to uphold national interests. But certainly a big win for Russia. I mean, standing side by side on the international stage in front of the world's eyes, President Trump said what he said, and whether or not it was a slip of the tongue or he misspoke, it does seem like a sort of pretty weak response. And President Putin certainly seemed like the stronger leader, the one who had it together, who was in control of that summit. So it certainly feels like a win for Russia. The fact that the summit even took place in the first instance was a win for Russia because of all of the recent indictments and arrests over this alleged meddling. So certainly it puts power into the hands of Putin and makes him seem like the real statement who's really in control of what he's doing, unlike President Trump.
Indeed, and Jessica, going through some of President Trump's most recent tweets, he says big results will come from his meeting with Putin, and that his meeting with Russia may prove to be in the long run an even greater success than the NATO summit in Brussels. And also Russia has agreed to help with North Korea. So how is the Russian government reacting to all of these tweets? Have they at all reacted so far?
Well, again, we've heard from the Russian ambassador to the US, who actually said he thinks it's going to be very difficult for Trump to comply with some of the agreements that were reached at the summit. I think all of this toing and froing and, of course, the extremely negative reaction we've had from Washington is certainly going to put a lot of pressure on these two leaders. And the summit in Helsinki was sort of billed as the first meeting, a chance for them to build up relationships, a new start, and they kind of implied there'll be more meetings to come, but it seems very difficult to see how that is going to happen now. I think President Putin and President Trump have always had quite a controversial relationship, and even during his campaign, President Trump always sort of praised President Putin and saying that he had great control over his country. He's also sort of aligned himself a little bit in that way and made similar comments about Mr. Kim Jong-un when he had that historic summit with him in June as well. So he clearly likes to align himself with President Putin in his sort of style and substance, and the way that he has this sort of macho, strong way of leading the country. He seems to really like that, and he certainly seems to like the fact that they do get on well in comparison to his predecessor, to Barack Obama. So he likes to sort of peddle the fact that he's got a better relationship with Russia than his predecessor. He likes this strong macho style of leadership, and he wants this to be a relationship that works. But I think, given everything that's happened over the last 24, 48 hours, it's going to be very difficult to see if maybe their relationship does get a bit stronger, but how this is going to play out in the sort of bilateral ties between Russia and the US is difficult to say.
Absolutely. On that note, Jessica King in Moscow, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.